And I'll say, too, that I started studying this issue seriously in 1992, and I'm sure there are others who've been studying it a lot longer than I have here. But I've never been more hopeful in terms of that we're going to be really getting something done. Now, we should have gotten it done, 10 years ago. And part of the urgency is that the impacts are already hitting the poor around the world pretty significantly and will only accelerate exponentially in terms of their impacts on the poor. Just one statistic on that, up to 2 billion people in this century will face water scarcity simply because of global warming. And when you look at that, over 80% of the crops in the world are rain-fed crops. That has a huge impact on folks being able to feed themselves. So for us, these issues are really focused on the fact, of course, that we're called to be good stewards of God's creation, but we're also called both the scripture-based traditions, religious traditions, to care for the poor. That's part of what it means to be someone of the book, whatever book it is, but someone of the book. And for Christians, we have the phrase to care for the least of these, because Christ identified himself with those folks. So for us, when we look at this debate and we look at climate change, it has been framed as an environmental issue, and we're trying to reframe it in a variety of ways. And one of those is to say to our community, we're called to care for the poor, be advocates for the poor. And we don't necessarily always, to be honest, do such a great job at that, but we're still called to do it anyway. And in this fight, that has to be our cause. And so if we're looking and asking the question of what do we have to get done to get this done? Well, in order for there to be an international deal, in other words, the next international treaty, there has to be a deal on international adaptation. And in order for the religious community to be able to support domestic legislation, there has to be funding and measures for international adaptation in domestic legislation as well, as a down payment on our country standing up to do the right thing on that. So we got something into the Lieberman-Warner bill on that and worked really hard there. But we met with Chairman Waxman, and as of yet, there's no indication that he's going to, put something into his principles that he may announce Tuesday. So we have got a real uphill battle here. And if we don't make progress on this issue of international adaptation, we're not going to make progress on the rest of it. Mm-hmm.